Sophie posted this video of her in red having a moment on the court.
That moment right there says everything. Sophie Cunningham posts a throwback in fever red, and Caitlin Clark responds with just 3 words, "Time to run it back." Simple, harmless, until Sophie fires back, "Only if you cuddle and make me dinner twice a week." What looks like a playful social media exchange suddenly carries much bigger implications. Before we even get into what this means for the Fever's roster construction, it's important to understand why this lighthearted moment has turned into a serious business concern for Indiana's front office. Because behind the scenes a scenario is quietly unfolding that could cost the Fever one of their most valuable assets, and it has nothing to do with what happens on the court.
Been a while since we just talked straight Fever action, but free agency is leaving a lot of questions. Kelsey Mitchell, Sophie Cunningham, Chloe Bibby probably won't be on this team, although I wish we could figure out how to get Red back on the team. Yeah, I would appreciate that. As always, make sure you hit subscribe. Make sure you check to see if you're still subscribed. YouTube is still.
Free agency is effectively frozen, and CBA negotiations have now dragged into a second month with no resolution. We know the season will expand to 50 to 54 games, up from 44 last year. But what almost nobody is talking about are the expansion draft rules. Indiana will have to protect its core players from Portland and Toronto, and in most expansion drafts the protection list is limited to just 5 or 6 players. Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, Lexi Hull, and Alyssa Smith are clear locks, which already fills 4 spots. That leaves the Fever with only 1, maybe 2, protection slots for everyone else, and that's where things get complicated. Because both Kelsey Mitchell and Sophie Cunningham are unrestricted free agents who have publicly said they want to return.
Many Indiana Fever fans want nothing more than for their team to bring Sophie Cunningham back in free agency this winter, whenever the WNBA league office and its players agree to a new CBA. Of course, Cunningham isn't the only member of the Indiana 2025 team that fans are clamoring to bring back, as Kelsey Mitchell is just as beloved among the fan base.
Let's address the elephant in the room first. The comment section under that Instagram exchange immediately devolved into exactly what you'd expect from certain corners of WNBA social media, with one person even asking, "Has Caitlin Clark ever cheated on her boyfriend Connor?" All in response to a harmless joke between teammates. This is the reality of covering the league. 2 players can't engage in normal, playful banter without a segment of the fan base trying to manufacture a narrative that has nothing to do with basketball. Caitlin Clark is in a committed relationship, and this was simply friends and former teammates joking around on social media. That's it. Nothing more. Moving on.
Crap. And for some of us, we appreciate that. Where was the rest of y'all? And yeah, y'all all gonna keep getting called out until you show that fire. The good news is Indiana doesn't necessarily have to choose when it comes to getting Cunningham or Mitchell. Both players have expressed interest in returning. The Fever front office will have enough money and flexibility to re-sign them, both if they so desire. Well, here's the problem.
Now here's what actually matters from a roster construction standpoint. Sophie Cunningham was the second most searched female athlete in America in 2024, according to Google's year-end data. Not second in the WNBA, second among all female athletes nationwide. She has a podcast on the Volume Network, appears regularly on major media platforms, and has built a genuine fan base that extends well beyond basketball. And here's the critical part. She was only on the Fever for 1 season. Think about that. Just 1 year in Indiana, and she became the second most searched female athlete in the country. That isn't just about her personality. It's about the platform that comes with playing alongside Caitlin Clark.
But they have to protect her. If they leave her out there to be drafted, just from a pure marketing and business standpoint, if you're a new franchise, you draft her first thing. Because she's one of the few players in this league that's got a fan base. That's all there is to it. has her own high profile podcast on the Volume. And she's in on.
But there's another factor that never shows up in marketing reports or Google search data. Go back and watch the tape from last season when Caitlin Clark was getting hit, when she was knocked down, when opponents took cheap shots at the league's biggest star. Who was the one Fever player consistently stepping up physically? Sophie Cunningham. She was the only teammate who regularly got in opponents' faces and defended Clark on the court. Not just talking about it in post-game interviews, but doing it in real time. That matters in ways you'll never find on a stat sheet. Team chemistry, locker room culture, and the willingness to protect your star when things get physical. The Fever had players with better numbers than Cunningham, but no one else brought that specific edge.
And here is this. Has Caitlin Clark ever cheated on her boyfriend Connor? Guys, I'm not justifying hitting that. Wow. Even the fans, I mean, we found this out. The fans of this league, God, they're ate up with agenda. Always got to make something, of course. You see that. They want to make this into a Sophie and Caitlin. They're clowning around with each.
So let's game out the expansion draft scenario, because this is where the Fever's front office has to take a calculated risk. If Indiana re-signs both Kelsey Mitchell and Sophie Cunningham before the expansion draft, they're forced to protect both players, which immediately uses up 2 of their 5 or 6 protection slots. But here's the alternative. If they leave Sophie unprotected, whether by choice or by necessity, what happens next? Portland and Toronto are building franchises from the ground up, and they need players who can sell tickets and generate media attention right away. Sophie Cunningham checks every box. She's a solid rotation player with legitimate star power and real marketing value. If she's available in the expansion draft, she's getting selected guaranteed. First round, and possibly first overall.
Disappointed if Sophie Cunningham is not on this team. I can tell you that right now. I can't remember exactly how many they can protect. I think it's 6. It's 5 or 6. So, Rhodes, you're supposed to know that, really? I mean, no. I've made videos on it. I think it's 5 or 6, but I'm not going to look it up because I just brought it up impromptu. Tell me what you think. Sophie and Caitlin, I feel like have to run it back.
Here's what makes this decision especially significant for the Fever's front office. This isn't just about whether Sophie Cunningham is a better basketball player than whoever else might be left unprotected. It's about understanding the business reality of expansion drafts. New franchises like Portland and Toronto need recognizable names who can generate immediate fan interest, media coverage, and local buzz. Players who can go on radio shows, podcasts, and TV hits and actually draw an audience. They're entering a league reshaped by Caitlin Clark, where star power and visibility matter more than ever. And Sophie Cunningham fits exactly what expansion teams covet. Indiana has to weigh that against pure on-court value. Kelsey Mitchell, who averaged 17 points per game last season, is clearly the better scorer and likely the basketball priority. But if the Fever can only protect one unrestricted free agent, the basketball decision and the business decision may point in different directions. Cunningham might be the bigger loss if she ends up elsewhere because what she brings, media presence, physical edge, chemistry, and fan engagement, is harder to replace. And then there's the Caitlin Clark factor. That Instagram exchange wasn't just playful banter. It was a public signal that Clark wants Sophie back, and franchise player preferences matter, especially when a generational talent is identifying chemistry and fit that don't show up in box scores. Look at the impact last season. The Fever went from a dysfunctional lottery team to a playoff squad, thanks to Clark's arrival, Aaliyah Boston's growth, and veterans like Cunningham who knew how to play alongside a ball-dominant guard without needing the spotlight. Taking charges, hitting open threes, defending physically, and bringing energy off the bench. Timing only complicates things further, with free agency stalled by unresolved CBA negotiations and a compressed offseason looming once it's finalized, leaving Indiana little room to wait and see how the market develops. There's also the risk that Cunningham lands in Portland or Toronto and becomes a featured face of a new franchise. She's 28, entering her prime, and has already proven she can drive attention and fan engagement, which would make losing her for nothing a long-term regret. The counterargument is fair. Rosters can't be built on sentiment or social media buzz, and players like Mitchell, Lexi Hull, Katie Lou Samuelson, and Erica Wheeler all bring real basketball value. But in modern professional sports, especially a WNBA that just secured a $200 million per year TV deal driven largely by entertainment value, the line between basketball value and marketability has never been thinner. That leaves the Fever facing a front office nightmare. Re-sign and protect both Mitchell and Cunningham and risk losing someone else. Prioritize Mitchell and hope Sophie doesn't get taken, or aggressively keep Cunningham because of her chemistry with Clark and off-court impact, even if it means a tough decision elsewhere. What's certain is this: Clark wants her back, the fan base wants her back, and Sophie wants to be back. If Indiana lets her walk or leaves her exposed and she becomes a fan favorite elsewhere, the fallout won't just be basketball related. It'll be a long-lasting PR problem. The CBA will eventually get done, free agency will open, and the expansion draft will happen, and when it does, we'll find out exactly how the Fever value the blend of production, chemistry, marketability, and franchise player preference that Sophie Cunningham represents.